Hey guys, what's up? It's Katie and I'm back with another Marvel Contest of Champions video. And today we're going to be going over the champion spotlight for Dragon Man. So thanks to the CCP, I had early access to this information. So thanks, kabam. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? So Dragon Man was a lifeless android constructed by Professor Gregson Gilbert, then brought to life by Diablo through a combination of science and alchemy. Dragon Man spent much of his existence being manipulated into combat by heroes and villains alike until Valeria Richards upgraded his programming. Now, with both super intellect and immense strength, Dragon Man acts as a guardian for the children of the Future Foundation. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of his mechanics. So he's got some pretty cool mechanics. He's a momentum-based champion focused on sticking his opponent in the corner, basically, and just gaining that power and spamming the specials. Now, he can become unblockable for a short amount of time if he can keep his momentum going. Now, once he gets the opponent in the corner, he gains a massive bonus to attack and reduces their power generated by them when they're being struck. So he basically kind of has like his own little enervate system going on. So let's take a look at his base stats. So he doesn't have too bad of health for a 5-star. His PI is this decent, his attack's decent, and there's ways to kind of improve on it as well. So he is obviously going to be a mystic champion. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of his strengths. So he gains power. So Dragon Man's power charge ability is one of the strongest power generating abilities in the game. As long as Dragon Man can keep at least one power charge active, he will always have a special attack ready. So this is going to come into play because this guy seems like he's, at least what I've read on paper, seems like he could potentially be gaining power like crazy and just spamming specials almost similar to a Hyperion level, if not more. So he also gets has strengths in knockdown. So when knocking his opponent down, Dragon Man gains an unblockable buff for a short duration. This buff is paused during special attacks. So if Dragon Man can link multiple heavy attacks and special attacks back to back, he can keep his unblockable effect up for a long time. So this is champs that can block unblockable attacks or dodge unblockable attacks are going to be probably pretty beneficial when it comes to fighting this guy in the monthly event quest. So Red Guardian's probably going to be a superior option to this guy. Plus, he'll have class advantage as well. So if you have a Red Guardian, I have a feeling that you and myself will be using him when this guy is one of the mobs in the monthly event quest. All right, and opponents with buffs. He uses Ineptitude, which is a new debuff that we'll talk about in a little bit. So the Ineptitude actually inverts the potency of Fury, Armor Up, Precision, and Cruelty buffs, and this becomes especially powerful when the opponent is using infinite duration buffs. So, you know, your champ's kind of like Angela and that sort of thing. So this is going to be kind of an interesting play. I can't wait to see how this works. So his weaknesses: stun, petrify, nullify, and purify. So if he is stunned, he loses all stacks of power charge. So parry is going to be one of your best friends. Although I have a feeling Kabam is going to make his node stun immune. I just have a feeling. Call it, I don't know, woman's intuition. If Dragon Man's power rate is reversed, he will lose power at an alarming rate. So your voids are going to be really important here. Cap Infinity War with a tech team. He's going to be another really safe option for this. All of Dragon Man's abilities are through buffs and debuffs. So if you can nullify or purify those debuffs, he's going to go down pretty quickly. All right, so now let's take a look at some of his abilities. So he is immune to bleed, poison, and armor shatter, which is kind of nice. Now, if he is under the effects of an armor break, Dragon Man releases currents of mystical energy, dealing degen damage every 0.5 seconds, and the damage is increased by 100% against cosmic champs, which makes sense because of class disadvantage. Now, his offensive power combat rate, is reduced by 35%, but obviously he makes up for that with his little charge, his power charge. Okay, so let's talk about his power charge, which is a buff. So at the start of the fight, he gains a power charge generating 12% of a bar of power every second. Power charge is removed though when stunned. So again, parry is going to be your best friend here. If 0 power charges are active, he creates one after 12 seconds. And when defending, this duration is reduced by 4 seconds. So He's going to be, that's kind of super beneficial if you're going to place him on defense. Now, when fighting science champions, upon receiving a non-damaging debuff, pause cooldown duration 4.35 seconds. So again, that's going to be kind of a way to like counter void and that sort of thing, or cap Infinity War. So let's take a look at this on opponent knockdown. So he gains an unblockable buff for 3 seconds. The duration is paused during special attacks, and then heavy attacks on hit remove any incinerates on the opponent, each dealing energy damage and increased by 50% if 6 or more incinerates are removed. All right, so let's talk about this cornered passive. So the opponent's while the opponent's back is against the wall, they gain cornered. Now, cornered is unaffected by ability accuracy modifications. Each hit deals physical damage, and this damage is increased by 50% for each ineptitude or unique buff on the opponent, up to 150%. Now, also during cornered, opponent's defensive combat rate is reduced by 70% while above 2 bars of power. So you've got a little bit of power control here with Dragon Man with this cornered that he has. All right, so now let's take a look at special attack. So special attack 1 is called Blitzkrieg. So the final hit inflicts a non-stacking slow for 8 seconds, preventing the effects of unstoppable and passively lowering evade and unstoppable ability effects or ability accuracy. So again, we have another champ with slow, which I love. I love that mechanic, and I'm so glad that they are putting that more and more in the game. And then the first hit that contacts the opponent consumes 1 power charge to inflict an ineptitude debuff, reducing the potency again of Fury, Armor Up, Precision, and Cruelty buffs by 75% for 30 seconds. So that's a long time in a fight if you think about it. That is pretty much the entire duration of the fight. All right, so now let's take a look at the special 2, Scorched Earth. So all 3 hits of Dragon Man's Fire Breath inflict Incinerate, dealing energy damage over 25 seconds. Incinerate also reduces the opponent's block proficiency by 50% and prevents the activation of Perfect Block. Now, it also consumes 1 power charge to generate a passive Fury, increasing attack rating for 30 seconds. So after connecting 2 special 2s in a row, you're going to want to try to land a heavy attack to deal a huge burst of energy damage. So basically what you're going to want to do first is obviously launch a special 1 to get that ineptitude on them as early as possible to invert the potency of buffs, which allows you to reverse the effects of the opponent's buffs. So you're definitely going to want to throw 1 special 1 and then maybe go on to your special 2. Now let's take a look at the special 3, because this is kind of interesting. So special 3, Danger Close. Consume all stacks of power charge, each contributing 4 seconds to an unstoppable buff. While active, this unstoppable instantly regenerates 85% of hit damage received from all attacks other than special 3s. After the special attack ends, generate 3 stacks of power charge. So this basically ends with your opponent being cornered, and you can use the unstoppable just to kind of go in and heavy spam, heavy spam, heavy spam, and just keep that momentum going with Dragon Man. You can really get people locked in the corner here. It almost kind of reminds me a little bit of Tigra, where you want to get them in the corner so you can get those ruptures on. So it almost reminds me a little bit like that. Okay, so let's take a look at his signature ability, because I think it's pretty cool, and I feel like he does need the Awakening. So when any non-science opponent has specific buffs active, gain a unique effect. Potency is increased by 100% when fighting cosmic champions. So he's going to reduce the opponent's regen rate by 35%. He's going to reduce the opponent's ability power gain rate by 35%. He's going to gain he's going to gain armor when there's a Fury buff. He's going to gain attack when there's an Armor Up buff. He's going to gain crit resistance when there's precision, and crit damage resistance when there's a cruelty buff up. So you're definitely gonna want to have him awakened, I feel like, to get the most out of him. So, but he does seem like a cool champ. He may actually need a high sig too. I'm not totally sure. I'll have to like get my hands on him and play with him to see. But he doesn't have any way to technically remove the opponent's buffs, so he isn't a nullify mystic, but instead he just kind of inverts it, right? So I think that's kind of a cool mechanic. Instead of having another mystic that just essentially nullifies, he kind of inverts it a little bit. So I do like that a lot about him. So let's take a look at his synergies, right? We've got full metal with Diablo. His special 3 generates an additional stack of power charge, which is always nice. And this kind of helps out Diablo a little bit, but they just need to rework Diablo. Like, they just need to rework Diablo. And then we've got student loans with Mr. Fantastic. So ineptitude reduces opponents by an additional 10%. And then with Mr. Fantastic here, each careful study increases Mr. Fantastic matching special attacks damage by 50%. So that's actually really good for Mr. Fantastic. I'm a fan of that for sure. And then First Crush with Invisible Woman. So while he's unstoppable and under attack, he reduces the opponent's offensive ability accuracy by 50%. And then Invisible Woman, when becoming invisible, retain 40% of vulnerabilities on the opponent. So that's actually really good for her as well. And then we have Not So Hidden Dragon with Tigra. While the opponent is cornered, their defensive combat power rate is reduced by 25% when struck by a special. So this is good because you are going to be gaining specials pretty quickly, it seems, and able to spam those specials. And Tigra neutralized opponents have a minus 100% auto block ability accuracy. So bye-bye Medusas. Bye-bye, Infinity Man. And then he's got, of course, the enemy synergy, where all champions gain a plus 155 crit rating with Punisher 2099, OG Punisher, and Elsa Bloodstone. But anyways, guys, that's all that I got for Dragon Man. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Dragon Man? Do you think he's going to be a fun champ to play? What do you think of his signature ability, Tactical Programming, and the new Ineptitude debuff that Kabam has introduced into the game? Do you think he's going to be an OP Mystic, or do you think he's just going to kind of be, well, meh? Let me know in the comments below and let's discuss. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you guys liked what you saw and you want to see more, please remember to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and hit me up in the Discord chat. Thanks, guys. Bye.